What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Knives at the Round Table. My name is Marco, and today we're taking a look at this small guy. This is a Peña Knives X Series fixed blade. I'm kind of surprised that he didn't give it a name. He just went with fixed blade. So this falls in kind of the range of an EDC fixed blade, right? Something that you can, if you wanna carry a fixed blade as opposed to carrying a folder, you just need a small knife for very minimal package opening, letter opening type tasks. That's kind of where this one falls into place. And this one came in a couple of different blade shapes. There's a sheep's foot blade, which might be nice, especially for kind of package opening, those kinds of things. There's a clip point blade, and this one is what he calls his Bullfrog blade. So this is part of the X series. I am pretty sure that this is made by Riyadh. It is an M390 blade. So what you got here, so let me give you kind of a tour of the knife, and then we can get started. It's a fairly small knife, and I'll show you some size comparisons here, but you can see it in my hand. You know, it's kind of a 3-finger grip type of deal. But what you have here is kind of a, I don't know, it's a little bit weird because it kind of ramps up here, and then you've got this wedge. It's kind of a mini saber grind, but mostly flat grind. You've got this 3 chamfered speed holes that I thought look really good. You've got some jimping right where you want it for gripping. It's not a great grip, but part of what I really like the blade shape. I really like the whole look of this thing, but I really like the sheath that it came with. It's this leather sheath with a clip, so you get your knife in here. And it's fairly tight. There's no way this is coming out. In fact, the reason I added a lanyard to this, my son just made this one for me. I added a lanyard is because in the beginning it was actually very hard to get it out. There's not a lot of meat here to grab onto, and getting it in and out was pretty hard. Now it's kind of broken in, so it's a little easier, but the retention's still very good. And you can carry this in front pockets, probably kind of what it was designed for. I found it a little bit more comfortably in my back right pockets, kind of where I was carrying this one. So let me give you some size comparisons. The size comparisons that I'm going to give you are, with the SEs, which is my typical size comparison for a fixed blade. So that is against the SE5. So yeah, yeah, not a great size comparison. Actually, this is the SE3, which is my more, this is kind of the type of knife that I would carry in my hip camping, or just out of the woods, hiking or whatever. So this is very small. It's very small. You can see thickness wise, yeah, not in the same category for sure. But let me give you, so this is probably a better size comparison for those of you who maybe don't have large fixed blades or aren't into fixed blades. That's the pair 3 on top, and that's the pair 2 on top. So this is a very small blade. So if you take a look at how it looks, I'm going to compare it against the pair 3 of what this looks like when it's sheathed. You can see, yeah, you've got this little piece sticking out for sure, but you can see it's a fairly compact kind of little package, right? Even the sheath is very thick, and I think it's thick because it's the retention. You get this extra pieces of leather here in order to prevent the blade from cutting the stitching. So you end up with a fairly thick package, and you can see the thickness is almost the same as kind of a pair 3. So in the pocket, it really feels a lot like this. Yeah, you do have a piece of the tang, a piece of the handles sticking out, but it carries very very well. So let me this again, this falls under the category of kind of EDC fixed plates, right? And I generally don't use my fixed plates for very heavy tasks, especially in this size, right? I use betoning and chopping and those kinds of wood processing with heavy duty blades. But for EDC, the this type of thing is more of a it's almost like a package letter opener, just any cutting task that you may encounter in your day-to-day life. My day-to-day life is in a city, so I don't have a huge use for a fixed plate. But this type of small fixed plates, like the MKM Macro or the Mako, those are very good, and I do like to carry those. So let me kind of just give you a brief rundown. So ergonomics on this one are not great. It's basically just a slab of steel, right? It looks nice, it's beautiful, but ergonomics. My hands are large hands. I wear large gloves, and it disappears in my hand, right? It's tiny. I couldn't really put a lot of force behind this. I can't really get a grip on it. It's very thin. You're just grabbing a piece of steel, so ergonomics are not great. My first thought, I was tempted to kind of, I'm a woodworker, so I was thinking of doing some kind of nice little overlay scales on this. The only problem is that it wouldn't go into the sheath, because as you can see, if a full 2 holes go into the sheath, and the sheath is damn near tight, so I don't think I can do that. But that was kind of my first instinct, to try and give it some thickness, to give it some mass, so I can grab onto it. So ergonomics in my large hands, this disappears in my hand. Now I'm not using this for anything, other than very very light work, so I don't need to really hold on to it. But if you're really to actually do some actual cutting with this, some real cutting, zip ties all day or whatever, I don't think this is the one for you, unless you have very very small hands. And even then, I don't think, it's contoured, but you're just grabbing a piece of steel is what you're grabbing onto. So ergonomics, not great. So cutting, I think if you use it for what it's meant to be doing, some flat cuts, some opening packages, some very light stuff, I think it does its job. I think it does okay, and nothing great. It's not the thinnest blade in the world. If you compare it to, you're kind of in the neighborhood of the thickness of the Pair 3. But the Pair 3 has a much taller flat grind, so it comes down to a thinner edge. So again, if you're gonna open a package, cutting tape with this, you don't need a whole lot of cutting power, and this will do the job. So this is kind of an eye for when you do need to cut stuff, but you just need a little bit of cutting power, not a lot. So okay for cutting, especially for what it's intended. But again, if you're gonna thinking of using this for a more intense use, I don't think this is the one for you. Fit and finish. I think fit and finish is excellent. You got the belt grind on the blade here, and I like the way that looks quite a bit. And you've got the same kind of belt grind on the swedge, and then you've got the top of the knife is crowned, is well rounded. I think the jumping is very nicely done. It's very effective. There's this kind of hand rub satin finish going across in the rest of the blade, which I think is really really nice. And then you've got this chamfered speed holes that look really really nice. I think I would have liked a little bit of jimping down here, just because you're just grabbing on a piece of steel. But I think I'm pretty sure Riyadh does these. That's kind of the logo that Riyadh does on most of their steel stamps. I think the fit and finish is really good, and the sheath I think is really well done. I think the retention is very good. You know, I usually talk about the sheath instead of talking about the action because obvious reasons. And the sheath, you know, has perfect retention. You know, there's not a lot of mass here, so there's no way this is coming out of the sheath. There's just nothing there to carry any momentum down. I like the clip. It's very effective. Okay, it does protrude a little bit. It's, you know, this curve. It's it's kind of an aggressive kind of curve. But I think the sheath works well. I used it in my front pocket, you know, as you would any pocket knife. But I used it a lot more in my back right pocket. That's kind of where it felt the most comfortable. This little piece sticking out, you know, I don't have the flattest stomach, so this kind of sticks into me when I sit down. So back pocket is a more comfortable place for me to carry it. And I don't have a lot of airing of grievances on this one. It's $139, which it's M390 steel. It's got a decent sheath. You know, maybe it could have been a little bit cheaper, but I think the price is probably at the right price point. And I don't have a lot of grievances. I think in reality, I think it looks really nice, and it drew my attention. Just the lines of the knife, I think it looks really nice. I do think that it kind of begs for kind of an overlay on here. I kind of visualize, you know, some, you know, Macassar ebony type overlay on both sides. I think that would look really cool. I might still do it if I can figure out how to make it work with the sheath. But guys, I don't know that Peña sometimes does kind of a second run of these. I don't know if these are still available. You can go take a look. This was purchased directly from the Peña Knives website. So go take a look. And if you think that this was a good video, if it helped you, if you enjoyed it, then like and subscribe. Only if you think that I've earned it. And until I see you at the next one, take care.